It's an honor to have President Trump with us, America. And we have a couple of questions for President Trump. First of all, President Trump, I have to say this. I feel like you're one of my dear friends. I know you very well. You seem on the campaign trail. You're happy. You're relaxed. You're going on offense. You got real policies. You're focused on what you want to do. You're reaching out to every community in America. It doesn't matter if they typically vote Democrat or Republican. You've got substantive tax cuts. You've got substantive policies. You're pushing school choice. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is talking about she's sophomoric. You're going to round up people and put them in prison. You got to be nuts to think that. Or you've only said, 1,000 times, I do not believe in a national ban on abortion, and they're spending $100 million saying you do, and on and on. What do you make of all this? Yeah.
It's so terrible. Everything like IVF, every single thing that whatever I'm for, they make it the opposite. Look, I've dealt with crooked Hillary. I've dealt with Biden, Sleepy Joe. I've dealt with all of them. There's no liar like these people. These are the worst. And you know why? Because they have nothing going. Every single thing. They even said, oh, he doesn't want to frack. Okay, now I've been for fracking and drilling. I've never spent a day of my life or an hour saying, don't do it. I'm a big believer because it's what we need. And they have a thing that about fracking that I'm opposed to it when they're actually opposed to it. These are really lies. I was even wondering we should go to court and do something about it because it's fraud. It's actually beyond election interference. It's fraud. And, she's not even campaigning today. She's taking a day off. You have 14 days, and it's the presidency, and she's taking 2 days off now. And I haven't taken a day off in 52 days. Can you imagine? No. That's a lot of fun, but no, we have to get the job done because if we don't get this job done, our country is finished. She is a terrible person, and I never saw lying like this. You're right. Every single thing they have on abortion, and you know my stance on abortion with the states' rights, the vote of the people and all that stuff, and with exceptions like Ronald Reagan, the 3 exceptions. And they don't put that. They say like hard line. These are just terrible people.
Mr. President, yesterday on this program, I said $10 million. I'll put up $10 million. Kamala Harris, you go to George Soros, get your $10 million. And I will bet you when Donald Trump becomes president, he does not support, he does not sign any federal national ban on abortion. What do you say? Because
you don't
she's
need
a liar.
Because it's going back to the states. Yeah, well, they lie. Oh, they're just unbelievable. Yeah, they're actually saying that too. They are unbelievable. And no matter what I say, it's the exact opposite. Because what I say is what people want, and it's common sense. We call it the common sense party, right? And they're going now they're doing that because she's taking 15 different policies. One is hard to get out of. But every single thing, because she's a radical left Marxist or whatever she may be, but she's radical left like nobody has ever been. Well, she's beyond the Marxist, I think. Marxist is not great, but she's beyond. She's further left by a lot than Pocahontas or Bernie Sanders. Okay, and our president, we can't have a president like that. No. But also, she's not smart. She's not a smart person.
No,
our country would be destroyed if she becomes president. And, part of the reason I'm actually talking much tougher, because you don't want to talk this way about somebody who's the head of the party, et cetera. But we literally, if she became president, I don't think our country has a chance. It doesn't have a chance.
It's amazing.
It's a disaster.
It's amazing, President Trump. You point to the Supreme Court and all the federal courts, constitutionalists, people who have a record, a written record, or a record as a judge at a lower court of supporting the Constitution, interpreting the Constitution. You have complied with every court order. You've applied with every Supreme Court decision. Your backers, like me, have spent their life supporting the rule of law and the Constitution, and she has the gall to say that you oppose democracy, but people who support you, like me, somehow we oppose democracy, and she, who opposes virtually every aspect of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, she's going to defend democracy. How do you respond to that?
Yeah. Well, just think of it. They're going after me like nobody's in terms of weaponization with the Justice Department, the FBI, local DAs that report to them, local attorney generals that report to them. I mean, can you imagine? That's never happened in this country before. these are bad people. These are really bad people. Almost, I would say, sick people, and we can't let this happen. So I'm doing. I'm working and I'm inspired to do it. You know, she actually said, "Oh, Trump is getting tired." I'm not getting tired. She's getting tired. She's the one that's not. She's the one that's not working now. If I go and criticize something, they said the media goes, "Oh, he's played right into her hands." You know, it's in other words, if you defend yourself, like in the debates, you said things that, maybe my crowds weren't as big as I was saying. I said, no, not only are they big, I turn away people for every rally. So I say that, and they go, he played right into her hand. Well, what are you supposed to do? Just let him say it. It is so terrible. And, you know, the media is a big part of it, though, because they know what's right and they know what's wrong, and they are totally, they're really dishonest. When I came up with the word fake news, it was a great term, but it's really not tough enough. It's much worse than fake.
One of the things you champion is the civil rights issue of our time, school choice, and parental rights. That is, parents at school board meetings wanting to know how their kids are being taught, what they're being taught, what the books are in the library. You've led that fight. School choice, like no other president in American history. You've promoted that as a civil rights issue for everybody, but particularly in poor areas for minority people, because they send these kids into awful schools. They have no choice. And yet the first person to endorse Kamala Harris was Randy Weingarten of the American Federation of Teachers. So just like Obama sends his kids to private school, she does not want opportunity, education, the key issue for kids, education for communities that are poor, and she will not support school choice. What do you make of that?
Well, she's in the hands of the union, and the union is, and by the way, there's nobody more for teachers than I am. We're going to take great care of our teachers, better than they take care of them. But there's nobody, I understand, you know, I've had great teachers, and I have teachers that weren't so great. And the ones that are great, they're very, very important to our country. So there's nobody that feels about teachers, or very few that I do. So, look, she's totally controlled by the teachers union. And it's very sad when you see it happening from an educational standpoint. Now, you take a look at where we're ranked as a nation. Out of the top 40 schools, we're 38, 39, or 40 every year, and yet we spend most per pupil. By far, we spend more than any other country. You have Norway, Denmark. You have all these countries. I hate to tell you this, but you also have China, which is usually in the top 5, as big as it is. You have China, but Norway, Denmark, Sweden, you have these countries, and per pupil, we spend much more, and we're ranked at number 40, 39, or 38.
You know what, Mr. President, when Merrick Garland released that outrageous memo, talk about fascism, in which he unleashes the FBI, the U.S. attorneys, the Department of Justice, and anything else they can throw at them over there, against parents who dare to go to school board meetings and exercise their First Amendment right. She never said that was a bad idea. They've never withdrawn that memo. Isn't that evidence of how she will rule?
Well, I think it is. And when you look at the FBI and what they're doing to parents, they've taken away parental rights. You know, when you get up, like when I get up before an audience and I start speaking, I will guard your parental rights. I'm saying, I can't believe I actually have to say this. Who would think that the parents don't have control over their child, or as a group that they don't have control over the children that they love? And they literally have taken that right away from people. And, you know, as far as if you're a Catholic, how can you vote for Kamala? Because what they've done to Catholics are unbelievable. You happen to not be Catholic. What they've done to Catholics is unbelievable. Someday, some Catholics are going to have to explain what are they. I mean, they're being persecuted, actually. So there's a lot of strange things going on. You know, we're not so far away from being a country that's a very evil place. We're not going to let it happen.
They're throwing people, grandparents, mothers, in prison who dared to exercise their First Amendment right in front of abortion clinics. Whatever you think about abortion. I mean, you have the right. And meanwhile, you have anti-Semitism throughout this country. They haven't lifted a finger. Look, you're one of the heroes of fighting anti-Semitism. You signed an executive order to protect Jewish students in colleges and universities. Obama didn't do that. Clinton didn't do that. Biden didn't do that.
That's right.
You did that. And you
Yep.
and Netanyahu are the most popular politicians in the state of Israel because you brought peace to the Middle East and they blew up the Middle East. The people in this country, the people in Israel, they don't want Kamala Harris anywhere near the White House, do they?
No. They don't want her, and nobody else does either, and I don't think the people want her either. So we've had a lot of results coming in, and the results look like at the upper side and beyond of what we were hoping for. So who knows? And frankly, I don't know. You could cut it if you like, Mark, but they cheat, and what they do is they are just so bad, but they cheat on elections. What they do with the borders is unbelievable. Think of it. You need borders and you need good elections, right? We don't have borders. Our borders, I built hundreds of miles of border wall. We had the best records, the best numbers in the history of our country. And then you see the famous chart. But from that chart, from the day I left, it looked like a rocket ship, how it went up. Mm-hmm. And now it's just terrible. And remember, they fly people in. So, they were saying, well, we're going to, they were getting decimated by the polls. So they said, all right, good, we'll do it. They must want open borders, but they said, all right, we'll do it. And they toughened it up a little bit, so it looks a little bit better. But they forgot to tell people that they're flying people into the country. They're sending these big jumbo jets, and they're taking thousands of people into our country by jet. That doesn't play well.
There's not another country on the face of the earth that does anything like this because they're not suicidal. And Mr. President, you don't get enough credit. You're the only president that I'm aware of, period, who's ever brought Arab countries and the state of Israel together. Peace plans, diplomatic plans, the Abraham Accords. You had Saudi Arabia was going to be next. Then this administration comes in and they blow up the entire Middle East. They fund Iran. Yeah. They're leaking Israel's military plans. What do you make of all this?
Well, they're doing it, and they're doing things that nobody thought was possible to do. They are allowing drugs to come in freely. They're allowing people to come in freely. They're allowing murderers to come in freely. So you have 13,099. Border Patrol released these numbers, and they've never released these numbers. In other words, they were never specific like this. They never did this before, but they feel they're in trouble. The Border Patrol endorsed me strongly a few days ago, strongly. But interestingly, when they endorsed me, they also said she's the worst president they've ever seen, worst vice president / president administration that they've ever seen. They've never, and it's not easy for them to say that. They're the Border Patrol. They work inside of government. And what they said about her, and I just hope the people remember that when they vote, Mark. I just hope they remember it. We have to get them out. We can't play too cute either. I'm saying things that normally I wouldn't say in terms of the level of, the level of strength. I would not say some of the things. Number one, she's not a smart person at all. I mean, at all. And we've had 4 years of a person who is not smart, and he had, in addition to that, he had other problems. We've had 4 years. The country is going to break. We can't take another 4 years like the 4 years we just had.
Now, Mr. President, she flipped and flopped and flipped now on fracking in Pennsylvania. She was opposed to it. Then she said, no, I support it. And then one of her flacks let out the truth. No, she's going to oppose any new fracking. You look at Michigan. Right. She's destroying the auto industry with this EV stuff, and you've made the point. Look, you want electric vehicles? Fine, but you can't impose that on people. But 85% of the material comes from communist China. You look at Arizona, overwhelmed with illegal immigrants like the rest of the country, and now she's tougher on immigration than you've ever been. I feel you have her on the run because you have an affirmative, substantive, consistent policy, and she's flailing around trying to be all things to all people.
Well, I've been consistent for years. People see old clips of me from 25 years ago on Oprah's show. Oprah used to be a friend of mine until I ran for politics, which is fine. But they see old clips. They say, this is the most consistent guy. I said, they're ripping our car industry. They've taken 60% of our car industry over the course of a lot of years. 60%. We're bringing it all back, Mark, through tariffs, smart tariffs. The most beautiful word is tariffs. We can make our country so rich, and other countries impose tariffs on us. That's the amazing thing. We get tariffs imposed on us, and when we want to do it, we have certain people that don't want to do it. I've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. No president has ever taken in 10 cents. And you know what? China respected us, and now China laughs at us. Remember when the initial transition, when they went to Alaska and they had a meeting and they started lecturing us about human rights and everything else? And we had our guy sitting there listening. Now it's terrible. But today is so big because they've given the Israeli war plans against Iran. They've given, can you imagine? They have supposedly in great detail, but the Israeli war plans against Iran, all different methods, probably won't change, but all different approaches they've given them. And Blinken or somebody flew over there to talk to them because, I guess you don't want to tell them that over the phone. But at this point, what difference does it make? So they've gotten the plans. Can you imagine your allies, even other allies, they see this, who wants to do business with them? So it's a terrible situation.
No, it would be like Franklin Roosevelt giving plans to Hitler about Churchill and Britain. That's how ridiculous, that's how outrageous this is. Mr.
But you got to
President,
find out the person that did it. You got to find out the person that did it.
They probably won't find out till after the election. When you're president, you'll find out. I can guarantee that because you believe in justice.
Oh, yeah, we're going to find out. Yep, we're going to find out.
What do you want to tell?
You can always find out. If you want to do so, if you want to find the leakers, you can always find the leakers. You understand that.
It's not hard.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
No, to find the leaker is very easy. But we don't use methods anymore where you can do that. We give the criminals such latitude, we're not allowed to find them. But you want to find a leaker, you can always. I thought the leak from the Supreme Court was just a shame. Yeah. And I think that's something that also should be found out. It can all be found out very easily.
You brought up elections, and I want to underscore what you're saying here. The Department of Justice is suing Virginia and Alabama to prevent them from literally taking non-citizens off their voter rolls. The Department of Justice doesn't believe there should be voter identification. The Democrat Party, other than 5 Democrats, opposed a bill in the House of Representatives requiring voter identification. The border's wide open. 20 million illegals. I mean, what are we supposed to make of this? 20 million illegals, no voter ID, non-citizens should be able to vote. There's only one party that's pushing this agenda. Are we supposed to be so stupid to think that they're doing this for good government?
Yeah, that's right. It's, Mark, it's not even some of the things that you and I have talked about over the years, watching this group of people destroy our country. It's not even believable. Men playing in women's sports. Okay.
Unbelievable.
I've never had, I said it today, we had a big news conference while Kamala's sleeping. She's sleeping. She's sleeping. Can you believe it?
That's a good thing.
She's running for president and she's in sleeping. Oh boy. But think of it. Has anybody ever come up to you and say, listen, I demand that we hear like 2 parts of every story, right? Has anybody ever said we want to see men playing in women's sports? I've never had anybody come up and say,
no,
we really have to let women play. And you have to do me a favor, President. You have to work it out so that men can play in women's sports. Nobody's ever mentioned this to me.
No.
And yet it's like this big deal for them. I think they want to destroy the country, basically, because there's no other reason. Well, the other reason is voting. They want to put them in the voter rolls, I guess.
Plus, it happens to violate Title IX of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. But who's counting? Mr. President, we only have a few seconds left. Early voting is crucial. It's crucial. It's crucial. What do you want to tell Americans about early voting now?
Get out and vote
for you.
But, Mark, you're right. Get out and vote. But if you didn't do it, you got to vote on by the 5th. You have to vote on the 5th of November. You know, I do have to give them that little attitude. You know, Republicans tended to vote. They seem to be voting early right now. And the numbers are so far great. The polls are good. I guess we're 5 up. It was just announced we're 5 up in Georgia. And we're doing great in North Carolina. Can you imagine in North Carolina they had their highest vote ever, and the place was just decimated by the storms.
Unbelievable.
They have to get out. Ideally, get out early, but get out. You know, I've been sort of very strong on that. Just make sure you get out. And we have to watch very carefully that this is going to be a fair election because they've been so bad. They've been so bad, so disgraceful. So we need borders and we need good elections. And let's see how this all turns out, Mark. But hopefully it's going to be very good.
You know, it's always a great pleasure. And you know what's funny, America? He and I eat the same thing. Crap. But I like crap. I can't help it, Mr. President. I like a well-done steak with ketchup and a Diet Coke. You do. I like McDonald's. You do. So that's the way it is. You look very healthy compared to me, I'll tell you that.
Well, we had a big McDonald's day the other day. That I can tell you. That turned out to be a big monster of a story. That was a strange story. That was a big monster. That was sort of supposed to be a little throwaway, and it ended up being a big deal. But it was a lot of fun, Mark. And
well, listen,
I have
Mr.
to tell you, Mark, you're an amazing guy, and just keep it going. Boy, we need you. We need you.
We need you. Please be safe as you can, and God bless you and your family, and take care of yourself.
Thank you. It's exciting times because we have a great future planned, and we have to get this done. We have to get this election. This is the most important election. I really believe it. I know you do. The most important election we've ever had. So,
and by the way,
thank you,
media,
Mark, very much.
I do love this man, and I want him to win. So if you want to say, oh, what an interview, screw yourselves. Mr. President, thank you. Take care of yourself.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you.
All right. God bless.